Well, I want to appreciate all teachers of social studies and other subjects that have come up to write pamphlets or books, organizing some of this content basing on this curriculum. I want to commend your effort that you are putting in to see to it that you help us interpret and internalize the curriculum and build content that is competence-based. I have got calls from many people, many teachers and school administrators asking if there are any books I can recommend them to buy for their teachers to use that rhyme with this competence-based curriculum. I have always got difficulty in answering this question simply because all books, for as much as I know, provide information. They are sources of information. No matter which book you are using, there is no specific book that is designed in such a way that it is competence-based. However, there are some teachers and some companies that have come up to develop these materials for us teachers to use in teaching the children. And I want to commend us for this effort that you are making to see to it that you help out the situation. However, I have just one or two concerns. One, some of the books that have been written that are on market, they have a lot of smuggled content, making them so wide that sometimes it has become too difficult for the teacher to follow this book to teach and complete the syllabus. As people are trying to maybe have detailed information in these books, some writers or authors have ended up going beyond the recommended levels of content that should be addressed at a certain class level. For example, recently I got to interact with a certain book where the author was introducing the concept of Stone Age sites and the concept of ethnic groups to learners of primary 4. At P4 we are learning about our district, and the people group that we are focusing on in primary 4 is basically the tribes, which tribes live in that particular district. And then coming down, if someone is to look at the ethnic groups, then we should not go into the details of that. It's just it should be intended to help children understand that this tribe that lives in this district belong to this ethnic group. But the focus and the details should be on the tribes that live in the district. And then the rest of the information about people in our district will be connected to the tribes. The concept of Stone Age sites, it is addressed to learners in primary 6. When we are teaching under the topic of the East African community, this is where we are going to find the people of East Africa, and that's where we are supposed to introduce these learners to the concept of Stone Age sites. That's part of the curriculum of primary 6. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the authors, you have done a very commendable work in helping us have the information, but some books have become too detailed. The teacher who is following that book cannot complete the syllabus because there is a lot. I also say pamphlet in which someone goes deeper in industrialization at P4 level. Someone was writing notes about the important places in our district. Look, the curriculum or the syllabus of P4 clearly stipulates the core content that must be addressed. This is a child who has come to P4 from P3. And therefore, as we are teaching, every level has the content that is suitable. Industries are covered in P7 when we are talking about economic developments in Africa. That's where we talk about industrialization. But introducing learners of P4 to industrialization and in the details, it's really depriving them of the opportunity to focus on what they should be learning at that level. So it's my humble request that let us, in writing these books and pamphlets, let us be guided by the curriculum. My fellow teacher who is there and you are using a pamphlet to teach learners, I want you to use your experience now. Teach learners using your experience, the knowledge that you have accumulated for all the years you have been teaching. And then, actually, for all the years you have been teaching the subject. And then, you should be able to sieve this content to see which is suitable for which level. But what is going to help you identify which is the suitable content for this level? It is the curriculum or the syllabus for the subject, for the class you are teaching. We have to be guided by the competences to develop the content. We derive content from the competences. That content which is supposed to help learners build the competence, build the ability to do what we want them to be able to do. So, if you are still following the textbook or the pamphlet or the pamphlet to teach, you are going to struggle with the syllabus coverage, because the textbook or the pamphlet does not specify which is the need to know content and which is the nice to know content. I would suggest that let the curriculum, let the syllabus of the subject you are handling be the first reference, be the guide in the process of planning and teaching, as well as assessment of the subject that you are teaching. Otherwise, we are loading our children with a lot of information, with a lot of notes about things that they are either supposed to learn in the future or they should have covered. Point number 2, some writers are carrying content that learners learned in the previous classes and piling them in the books which they have labeled for a certain class. And this is forcing teachers to go back and teach like children have never learned this. They teach what children learned, and this is because it is appearing in this book that you have written. So it's my humble request that you sieve the book, you edit them, so that if it is a P4 book, it is containing P4 work as guided by the curriculum or the syllabus for that subject in particular. My friend the teacher, I want you to follow, be a slave to the curriculum, not the pamphlet, not the textbook. Understand, take time to interpret and understand the curriculum